So in this video I'm going to install Python for Windows 10 and configure it properly so that we can use several packages like Numpy, scipy, sympy, Jupyter notebooks, and so on. And so the first step is we're going to go to the URL on your browser, and we can actually do a search directly on the URL line. I'm going to do a Python search and type in download. So it should be the first entry called download Python. So I'm going to click on it. And so we can download Python right here. It's Python 3.9.2 at the time of this video. I'm going to save it. And it's downloaded. So I'm going to open it up and start running it. So this is the installation for Python 3.9.2 on Windows 10. Now, if you look at the bottom right, it says install launcher for all users. That's okay, but to make sure that Python is at the command prompt, so when we use the command prompt to do things, we'd like to have Python running on it. And to do it right, we have to make sure that the Python is in the search, in the path environment variable search. So I'm going to actually hit the add Python 3.9 to path so that we have access to Python anywhere from any command prompt. Also, I want to see exactly where the installation is going to go and configure anything, so I'm going to use customized installation. Okay, and I'm not going to install generally in one location. I want to install it for everybody on this computer. Even though if you want, you can actually install it personally on one user account. I'll install it for every user account on this machine. So I'm going to use customized installation. In here, documentation, pip, the Python package management system. Okay, that's okay. The toolkit and idle. It's an IDE for Python. And yeah, anyway, keep everything for all users requires elevation. That's fine. Hit next. And the advanced option, right, I'm going to make sure that it's installed for all users so that it will be in one general location, Python 3.9. It also means that if you're going to add new packages, right, you'll have to log in as administrator to actually update the packages. But I think it's okay. You probably wouldn't even notice it anyway. Anyway, so hit the install. And here it's asked me to log in as administrator. So let me type that in. And we're set. Now it's installing the executables. And this might take a couple of minutes, and I might actually speed this up by editing this video clip. Okay, great. So we've completely installed. The setup was successful. I'm going to hit the close button. And the first thing you should try, right, to make sure everything's okay, you're going to run the command prompt. I'm going to type in cmd at the little window right here, cmd, and that's your command prompt. So I'm going to hit the command prompt. And I just want to make sure Python is installed and it's accessible from the path environment variable, and you should be able to just type in Python. And this is the Python prompt. So if you wanted to just do a quick calculation, 3 plus 4 is okay. Now the libraries, the packages, right, that we need to use for scientific computing, they're not by default installed. So for example, Numpy, which I'd like to use. So let's imagine that I'd like to import Numpy. It should fail. Oh, Actually, I'm surprised. Numpy is installed, surprisingly. So let's try numpy dot, let's take a matrix, 3, 4, semicolon, 5, and 6. So it's a square matrix. Oops, I'm hitting the up arrow key. Oops, and couldn't get the double quotes, and then press enter. Save it into a variable, call it m. Let's print out the m just to make sure. Yes, and let's do a square of this matrix. This is m squared. And yeah, it seems to be working. So numpy is installed. But anyway, so let me exit out of this Python shell. You can type in exit, or you can type in quit, or you can hit Control Z. Okay, so again, if you're in Python, you can type in exit, or quit, or Control Z. Okay, so all of them will exit out of Python. But anyway, so I know Python is installed, and the first order of business, right, is to make sure that you can have access to the latest version of Python. And so we need to add some extra commands. So the first command is to pip is the Python a package management system. Pip is the package manager, and basically it keeps track of all of the different packages that you have installed. And we're going to upgrade this with saying, so I'm going to call python -m pip install, and it's already up in, well, I'm going to upgrade it. I'm going to say upgrade pip. So I'm running the pip Python program to install and upgrade pip itself. And if everything's okay, oops, I didn't spell Python correctly, so let's fix that. I'll put these commands in the description below this video so you can have access to it, so you can type in the commands to make sure everything's okay. So here's Python pip, and oops, it's not satisfied because oh, actually pip normal site pack is not writable. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to log in as the administrator. So I'm going to type in exit and run cmd again, but this time I'm going to run as administrator. And okay, so be careful because you are in the system32 subdirectory, and these are a lot of files, and don't delete them by mistake. Anyway, so let's try Python, and this is calling pip to install and upgrade pip itself. And there we go. So right now, okay, great. So the old pip was version 20.2.3. It's been upgraded to 21.0.1. Now, there's another set of tools for virtual environments and setup tools. I'll actually do these commands. So in instance, it's also, let's run up setup tools to upgrade setup tools to make sure everything's okay. We'll also do for virtual environments, because you're probably going to start creating virtual environments in your, and I'll make a discussion exactly what virtual environments are, but at this point just install it, Python upgrade virtual environments. I'll also upgrade the numpy, so it's the same command, num. So this is for dealing with arrays of floats and integers and doubles and stuff. So we're also going to play with sympy. So these are the default packages I think you guys will be using. So this is sympy for symbolic computation. That's kind of handy. Okay, so this. So this might take a little while, but okay, so now that SymPy is set, right, we're going to make sure that we can do graphics by installing the matplotlib. So this is matplotlib. Okay, great. So we can actually see plots. We're also going to be installing Jupyter Notebooks so that I can show you how to use Jupyter Notebooks. And let's also install, let's see, oh, Jupyter Notebooks. So here's Jupyter. Great. And let's also install opencv so that we can actually do some kind of visualization and graphics. So we can look at creation, manipulation of video images, of images. At any point, if you, sometime in the future, if you need to update and upgrade, right, you can type these same commands over again. I'd highly recommend that you should put these commands into a scripting file. On Windows, it's called a batch file, and if you do, you can just run the batch file once, every once in a while to update and upgrade your packages. I'll also install the opencv. Great. So now we have several packages. Pip, setuptools, I think virtual environment, Numpy, sympy, scipy, matplotlib, Jupyter, opencv. Yeah, I think that's all the packages I need. Anyway, so let's just check. Actually, I'll leave this window open because that's your administrator command shell. And let me run up another command prompt, and let's try and make sure that is IPython installed. Yeah, good. So this is interactive Python. This is probably the version of Python that you really want to use. So for example, if I do import, let's try, let's just see if we can do some calculations. Let's use sympy to actually do some calculations, like graphing something, like we'll do a symbolic computation of something. So let's do import sympy. So that symbol, right, loads up the package into memory, and so now I can have access to all of the elements of that package by using sympy dot. So let's create a variable. Let's call it a symbol, and let's call it x, the symbol x, and we're going to donate it, and we'll put to the Python variable x and the symbol x. Great. So let's try sim dot plot, and let's try x squared and see a parabola in action, so you can actually see how it's done. Oops, didn't spell it correctly. Sympy plot x squared, and there you go. So here is our plot of the variable x squared. And this is just an example just so you understand how to calculate these things. We can actually do a lot of things, like let's take the differential of x squared with respect to x. That's 2x. Okay, great. One of the main reasons you want to use IPython is that when you have sympy dot and hit the tab key, you can actually get a list of all of the possible options you have. Now we have a lot more and under A, but this is just, so if you type in the first couple of letters, for example, let's assume that I want to know something about symbol or symbols. Okay, and I'll hit the tab. It autofills. Okay, great. If you need documentation, you can put a question mark and you'll get full documentation on symbols. And I'll hit the Q to get out. But anyway, like all Python shells, like IPython and Python, you're going to exit or quit or Control-Z. You'll exit out. Anyway, so Python is installed and you should be ready for doing some calculations.